yeah, using that as an example is you're making the assumption that a family of 4 would not buy a 2-bedroom house.
Is there a big difference in terms of value comparing a 3-bed, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet versus 4-2, 1,300 square feet in terms of your value comparison?
It would depend upon the market data.
Still go through.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, there are no cut and dry, there could be rules of thumb, but any adjustment I make or even opinion I give, it's like I've just gotten to the point where I have to look at the market data. And then when you get things that are very close, you're right, the difference may be very little, but I'm not going to make an adjustment without trying to figure it out in the market.
True.
Yeah.
However, interestingly, you will see within a half to 1 mile radius,
Yeah.
easily you find a house that has 520 per square foot versus 620 per square foot.
Yeah.
Easily can be 100 different, even higher. So,
Well, the one thing residential appraisers don't use is the per square foot.
true,
We don't use it.
right.
Not supposed to, because it takes into consideration everything. And the other problem with anything that's over 5 years old is and this is the weakness of the cost approach. So you guys know that we have the sales comparison approach, cost approach, and income approach. So lenders will always ask for the sales comparison approach, and then they love us to throw on the cost approach. And to me, I have a big paragraph saying, do not rely upon this for anything, including don't rely upon it for insurance. Because that's why they have it in there. At least I've been told by lenders that's why they have it in there. I'll get to it. And the problem is if it's a house is over 5 years old, then the parts of the house depreciate at different speeds. So then to sit there and say the depreciation of the house is 30% or 40%, and you're applying that to everything. I mean, the simplest thing to understand is you got a 50-year-old house with a brand new remodel kitchen. Well, that part of the house isn't that. But in that approach, or at least the one that's used in the residential form, it's not allowed to take that into consideration.
Right.
Yep. Yes.
Back to the bedroom adjustment now, because I see bedroom adjustments all the time on it.
Oh yeah, standard adjustment.
Would it be better to use an older comp with the same bedrooms and do a time adjustment than a newer comp with bed and do a bedroom?
In my opinion, yes. Yeah, in my opinion, yes. And also what you might want to do is go back in time and use that sale and then look for a sale where that might only have difference as a bedroom, and you could figure out an adjustment at that time. You know what I mean, for the difference of the bedroom. I always believe in going back in time instead of out in space and out in distance because of how easy and how much data you have for time adjustments. The problem is with you guys, what you deal with majority of the time is you're dealing with lenders and they don't like it. They don't like me having 1 or 2 or 3 comp, the first comp, second comp as a dated sale with the time adjustment. And to me as an appraiser, it's just frustrating because, like I said, you can have a model match to your subject and there's nothing different with it other than it was sold 6 months ago. And you make in this market, you can make an upward adjustment for time, and you got all this market data that you can put in the report and say, yeah, prices in this area have gone up 20%. There you go. This is the exact same house sold 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. It's exactly like my subject property. The only thing is time's passed. And here's all my charts and all my data showing you what the appreciation was for this area. So yeah, I would rather use a dated sale.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
When you were doing a comparison, when you were doing a CMA or the MLS, at what point, or what is the delta, or what is the range between the two in comparing properties between 2 and 3 bedrooms? What is the range of square footage that you use?
I personally, I don't know if I was clear. I personally would not compare. If my subject property was 3 bedroom, I would not use 2 bedrooms, period.
Even if the square footage is
I wouldn't use them.
exactly the same?
Yep, I wouldn't use them.
What about the other
It's utility. It's a utility adjustment. A 3 bedroom is going to be more useful for a family than a 2 bedroom. Now, once again, this is taking time to analyze the market. I mean, if you have a bunch of, young people with no kids. It's knowing that market. It's having that geographic competency and knowing your market. Yeah. To me, it makes it, especially, and I know I'm biased by the fact that I appraise in our area, is that in Santa Clara, there's always data. I have a hard time with any appraiser, if I'm reviewing them and they come back to me, that was the only sales available. Unless you're up in the mountains. I mean, if you're down here in the valley, there's so many sales. And what I mean by so many sales is not only current sales, but historical data. So the same thing. You could take an exact model match, and the only adjustment you have to make is a time adjustment. Will give you a better indication than a house that isn't anywhere close to the subject property. Yep.
If there are two houses in the same school district but two different cities, like a street away, do you give the better city like San Jose versus Campbell?
No, the example there is Santa Clara and Cupertino, right on the border there. Right. If it's Cupertino schools, I've noticed that the price is pretty much the same, whether it be in Santa Clara or if in the city of Santa Clara or the city of Cupertino. That's one of those things where, yeah, there's a difference, but percentage-wise, it's really not that big, and it has to do more with that school district. Yeah.
Even if, like, say, for example, if that particular home, they've kind of expanded, built it up, it's actually one of the most expensive, would be one of the most expensive and largest homes in that particular neighborhood because it borders San Jose and Mountain View, and has a Mountain View school district. Would, as an appraiser, he would totally overevaluate the neighborhood, but has the Mountain View schools.
That's a tough call because once again, depends upon the market data. Because the other thing you threw in there is they remodeled a lot. Is that an over improvement for the neighborhood? Because you can have castles in these houses, in a neighborhood of just little tiny tract homes.
Well, it's about 1,200 square feet more than anything else in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that sounds like an over improvement. So you're going to start, you're not going to be getting your return. Yeah. So if you're trying to be a Mountain View house in a small neighborhood, that's considered an over improvement. But once again, you got to research the market and get the market data. Yes.
Can you elaborate on what you said about you don't use price per square foot? Because
I can't elaborate because I don't use it, except for on commercial stuff. We just, in appraisal, I know there's some, I was just reading an article about using price per square foot. In residential appraising, you don't use it because price per square foot is the whole price. That's including the land. So it's not. It's.
I read an article where it talks about you're not buying 1 square foot of a house at a time. You're buying everything that goes.
Yeah, it has to do with your blending everything in the improvements and the land, and that's why residential appraisers don't use them.
And school is like everything combined.
Yeah.
okay, well, what if you've got a house that comps out with really well with your subject property? Inside, in the house itself, the construction quality, the neighborhood, maybe it's only a block or two away, size is comparable, everything else, but it's on a different lot than a larger lot than the subject property.
Yeah.
So, but everything else about the houses themselves is comparable.
Okay.
So.
And what you're saying, the price per square foot for the larger lots is higher than that?
I wouldn't.
I guess the short answer to it is, if you're talking to me about commercial, we can use some price per square foot. On the residential side, I don't use it. And I never have, and I never learned how. I know how to do it, but the problem with it is that it takes everything into consideration, including the land.
So just buyers are being taught, by square foot, so they come at you like, oh, don't want to.
And the reason it is because even in litigation cases, I've had attorneys say, can you do this by the price per square foot? And the reason is it's very simple to understand. That's why they want to use it. It's easier to understand.
But do you give it consideration?
I'll look at it because the software I used calculates it.
No, because speaking of market value, when you show two properties and one is 500 square foot larger, the buyer would like to have that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be a little of consideration for in adjustments made.
Yeah, I just don't look at it that way. Okay, so.
Would you please clarify something?
Sure.
Did you say that the price per square foot does or does not include land?
No, it does include land. The thing is, if you just do a price per square foot, it's everything. Because all you're doing is you're taking the sales price and and dividing by the square footage, and then you're going to end up getting your price per square foot. Or is it the other way around? Yeah, and so it takes into consideration everything. And then once again, as from an appraiser's point of view, it doesn't take into consideration depreciation. So if you're doing 50-year-old houses, maybe one's maybe one's beat up, one's remodeled. But all it's taken is that sale price and square footage and using that as an indicator. I'll tell you right now, I'll admit to you on the weak side, the thing is, I can't help answer your questions. I don't look at it. I don't use it. Whoops.
Can you talk a little bit about Realtors in MLS,
What?
doing a CMA on the MLS between Realtors and the quick CMA? Can you?
Yeah, but
about that?
no, I can't because I don't do it that way. I don't.
Your way, how do
Is
you,
there?
How do I do it?
yeah.
In a nutshell, okay. What I'll do is I like using the map function. So I'll pull up the subject. You pull up, first off you look at your sales. I guess the best way to put it is I take a big view and then I go down to the neighborhood.